challenge coming up. His name is Bill Ferguson, down there in the 46th district. That includes Cherry Hill, Southwest Baltimore. And who's the current? Who's the incumbent?
Good morning there, Mr. Glover. We have Senator Della is our current senator. Been in there for about 27 years and
Woo.
has been unchallenged for the last 16 years.
Do you know anything about education? I'm gonna bring Dr. Ingram back up. She knows a little bit about education, but you said you know something about education.
I would like to think that I know a little bit. So I was a teacher at Southwestern High School before it was, summarily shut down. I was at Vivian T. Thomas Medical Arts Academy, which actually is in a new building on Calhoun Street, and where I met my wife at Southwestern. So we were both social studies teachers.
Oh, isn't that
It's that
sweet?
we taught next door to each other. All the kids knew, but we had to say we were just friends. It was
That's a book
the
right
hidden
there.
teacher wrote. Yes, right. And now we both more recently went to work for the central office for the last 3 years, doing kind of the citywide school reform policy. And I was listening closely today, and I think there's sort of a larger issue at stake. And I don't know if this has to do with particularly poly, but I think when we look at our public education system in the city, the two top schools of college graduates are our Poly and School for the Arts. Only 51% of our graduates who are attending four-year colleges are graduating from those colleges. In a 21st century economy where we have globalized jobs, we need to do better.
What does that mean? I mean, are you saying that those schools have failed?
No, I wouldn't say those schools have failed. I think we need to make sure that our kids in our city have the skills that are necessary so that they can be successful in college.
Okay, how about it? Are you still in the Baltimore City public school system?
I actually resigned in May to run for office.
Okay,
so.
would you run the system differently?
There are pieces that I would run differently. I think at the end of the day, every single neighborhood needs to have options for great schools. But I think that there's been progress made over the last 3 years. We have a long way to go before we are comparatively competitive with surrounding jurisdictions.
And are you from Baltimore?
I am not. I grew up in Rockville. My parents grew up in PG. I'm a fifth-generation Marylander, so I've been here forever.
Okay.
But
What do you think about taking the names off of schools? I mean, in my neighborhood, George Kelson Elementary, the name was taken off and it was renamed William Penderhughes because the students moved there from down the block. And the people on North Avenue apparently didn't realize that George G. Kelson is an icon to the very neighborhood in which the school is in. And I think a lot of times when you bring in outsiders, they have a learning curve. They don't know the history. They don't know the culture. And I think a lot of times you take the name off of the school, you lose a lot of the essence of that school.
I think you're absolutely right. I think we've had.
So what's going on North Avenue? I mean, these are little attacks. And that's why I was wondering if you thought privatization is on the way.
No, I mean, I think it's very clear that we have to have an urgency about giving every single kid in our city great options to go to a great public school in our city. Until we do that, and if we continue to fail our kids year after year after year, we're just setting them up for failure. We've seen it over and over and over, and we have the same elected officials. We send the same people to office year after year after year.
Oh, you're talking
No
about Delegate
competition.
Ruth Kerr, Hattie Harrison, Agnes Welch, people up there. You saying George Della's in that category?
I'd like to particularly focus on my opponent. 16 years of no competition.
Does it come around to the various entities in the community?
Not even in the slightest. I've had a lot of opportunity to be in Cherry Hill, Westport, Lakeland, Mount Wine, and
Have they seen him?
They not in 12 years.
Have
Unless
you
the
seen
governor's been
him?
there.
Tell me, have you seen him?
It's scary, and it's
So that the votes are being taken for granted.
exactly. And we have the idea is that just seeing a public official is acceptable. We have to have higher expectations for what our public officials bring to our city.
Let me ask you this. What do you think of mentoring? I mean, you're a teacher. So your job is to ultimately replace yourself, right? Well, shouldn't an elected official be on the same page, or is it something that you just get it and you die in office? You don't pass it to anyone else, you just die in office.
I am firmly in favor of term limits. It gets too comfortable. The power of incumbency allows for public officials to really lose that motivation, that spirit that they've had. And I think with term limits, we can see some big changes.
What elected official do you look up to? I love Marion Barry.
That is a great question. Wow. I have to think about that one. I think that there's the obvious ones. There's sort of the Kennedys, the Clintons.
Clinton ain't my favorite. He locked up more black people than anybody in history.
He also expanded educational opportunities more than any other president.
Man, but he came with that welfare reform too.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, it's all about triangulation. You know?
I mean, who can, disagree with the John F. Kennedy? This man risked his life.
Right. Right. I mean, I think that there are.
I agree with you on that one.
You
So
know,
we're 50-50.
Right.
You want to go for a third?
Well, I'd say, at the end of the day, I look up to my parents. They taught me.
See,
how
you
to
had
be a car.
Obama right there, man. You missed it. It was a bounce pass slam dunk.
I can't believe I just blew that. Ironically enough, my wife and I got engaged at Obama's inauguration.
Good comeback. Good comeback.
On the Capitol lawn.
There you go. Good comeback. Why do you want to be state senator? Here's your chance. Here's your 50 seconds of fame.
Our city deserves better. We keep sending the same people to office over and over and over again. If our city's ever going to have a true future and reach its potential, we've got to keep families here, and we've got to make sure that they're feeling fulfilled. To do that, we've got to have great public schools. It's the single biggest domestic issue for our city.
Well, what are they doing wrong?
There is.
And what happened to Thornton? You in the pre-interview, Thornton, I've not heard the word in 4 years, the term Thornton Commission. Where's the money? Where's the funding? Where's the interest? Where's the support?
Over the next 4 years, we will not see as much attention and energy about improving urban.
Don't they owe Baltimore some money?
There is no question that there is more money owed. I mean, especially when we look at facilities. I mean, we have to look at our schools. I taught in a school where it was literally 95 degrees in a classroom for 4 months out of the year. This is absolutely unacceptable, and we need to have an urgency of fixing it.
So how do you give a cat a raise, a new contract, and we have new prisons coming to East Baltimore.
At the end of the day, it's all about priorities. If you look at the Seed School, Southwestern building, same school, same kids. The difference, the priorities placed, the money that we put into our kids. When we put more money into our kids, when we give them options, when we give them opportunity, they meet those expectations.
Good deal.